Help me, Grandpa. This is a true story from not too long ago. I was still a student attending a university in a rural area. After attending my classes that day, I went to work as usual, returning home around 12:30 a.m. After taking a bath and finishing a can of beer, I suddenly remembered that I had an early class the next day. The weather was unusually pleasant for summer, and I didn't believe in spirits, so even though I lived on the ground floor of my apartment, I opened the windows and the door leading to the balcony to let the breeze in before going to sleep. By the way, my bed was arranged with my head near the balcony and my feet near the door. At that time, I was suffering from mild insomnia, so I did some light workouts to help me fall asleep and had a glass of whiskey before finally hitting the bed. Around 2 a.m., I woke up face down, turned to my left. With my usual insomnia symptoms kicking in, I thought I had woken up again in the middle of the night, so I tried to get up for a glass of water, but couldn't move. I was confident in my physical strength compared to others. I must just be groggy. Thinking it was all in my head, I exerted more effort, but still couldn't budge. It's sleep paralysis? I felt a wave of panic at this first experience. At that moment, I heard a sound like someone walking right next to my bed. Creak, creak. Is that what they call a rat sound? It was the first time I had heard it. The sound gradually moved around the wall and then shifted to the ceiling. Creak. Meanwhile, I could still hear a ringing in my ears, a constant keen sound. But in an instant, all the sounds vanished. I could feel cold sweat forming. Listening closely, I found myself enveloped in silence, the usual quiet of the night. This is strange. There's no sound at all. I had a refrigerator in my room and also kept tropical fish. Those motors should always be humming. Yet, everything had gone silent. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. Thump, thump. As I swallowed hard, I felt a warm breeze coming in from the window near my head, and despite not being able to move, I sensed someone is here. At that moment, I realized someone was standing right at the tip of my right foot, looking down at me, lying face down. Was it inspecting me? Observing me? It was staring at me. Minutes passed. How long? Felt both long and short. It didn't budge, just kept watching. Finally, it moved, climbing onto my bed. Yet the bed didn't creak. Climbed further up, right onto my calves. There was a warm, slightly slimy sensation. In my mind, I began to chant, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Myoho Renchikyo, reciting all the prayers I knew. Suddenly, one word popped into my head, Grandpa. I remembered that my grandfather had died shortly after I was born. Relatives told me that he had given his spirit to me before leaving. According to those who could see, he was said to be near my right shoulder. As the presence on my bed shifted to take another step, I desperately thought, Grandpa, please help me. At that moment, I heard a sound behind me, a pop, like something bursting, and the entity that had been on me collapsed. When it fell, I thought, I'm going to get crushed by this spirit. But as it covered my back, it suddenly passed through my body and vanished. Ku, Tali, Kir, Ru, no. It left those words behind. Almost simultaneously, I felt the paralysis lift and was left in disbelief, closing all the windows. I wondered if I had just dreamt it, thinking maybe a burglar had actually entered. After checking my room thoroughly, I drank some water, and when I calmed down, I decided to change out of my sweat-soaked t-shirt. As I stood in front of the mirror, removing my t-shirt, I remembered the spirit that had collapsed on my back and looked into the mirror. There, on my back, I saw a red bruise-like mark stretching diagonally across from my right foot.